Okay, thank you. February 20th, 2018, a regular board meeting. First thing we have on our agenda is a review and approval of the bills. And I see there is a supplemental. Is there any additional supplementals, Mr. Treasurer?
No, there is not.
Okay, so you all should have a copy of that and have reviewed it. Entertain a motion to pay the bills as
Second.
presented. Discussion? All those in favor?
I've got a couple questions, please. When we, Arson, when we added the insurance for the new aerial ladder there, $741, what's the coverage on the old one we have parked in our garage?
What's the coverage?
Yeah,
I have no clue.
is it still full coverage, or are we
It
still
was.
paying? Full?
It was.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was full replacement value.
okay. All right, and something I've never seen on here before, we've got, in the description column, you've got 11 corrections. What's that all about?
I entered bills wrong.
'Cause I don't know if I've ever seen one. And we have 11 in one bill statement.
Yeah, no, I entered, when I was going through the bills, there's a couple of them I put to the wrong vendors. So when I was going through, that's the way to correct it, you have to reverse it out.
Okay, great, thank you. I'm all set, thank you.
Okay, sorry for your wait. Okay, all those in favor of approval?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carried. Back up to February 20th minutes that you have. I'm sure you reviewed them, they've been out for quite a while. Try to entertain a motion to accept the minutes as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, carried. Do you have any correspondence? Ma'am?
There is none this evening.
None, okay. All right, I guess we're gonna hear from our recreation leader now on an update on a memorandum of understanding from the health department and some other things, so. Floor yours, ma'am.
Okay, Rouses Point Fitness Trail update. The memorandum of understanding has been signed with the Clinton County Health Department, and I have secured funding for high-density plastic instructional signs that measure about 6.5 inches by 8 inches. To be purchased for each of the pieces of equipment, which are 5 around the fitness trail, from the company that makes the fitness equipment, Accent Incorporated, at a cost of $473.11, and it's going to be paid for by Clinton County Health Department. The new signs, they'll be larger so people can read them. We just have to make sure that we provide the posts and we mount them close to the fitness equipment, so that's our part of the deal. So they're going to buy the signs, we need to put them up. So it takes 2 to 4 weeks to get the funding from Clinton County Health Department. Once we get the money, we'll send the money to Accent and they'll send us the signs. So we should have those by summertime or late spring. The registration kiosk is working. People are logging in when they use it. They use the trail right up until the trail is covered with snow. And then they return February 22nd as soon as the trail is cleared of snow from the sun. So I would really think that people would use it all winter if we plowed it. We had talked about that. It was going to be on the list of things that Brian was going to do, but I guess that didn't happen. So anyway, it's a smoother service. There are less puddles and ice on it. I know how they are because I run on the sidewalks, so it's kind of treacherous. But if we were able to keep that clear, I think people would still use it all winter long. The ages ranged the last month and a half towards October, November, people were using it December, ages 50 to 82. And there was an 82-year-old when I started looking at it, came every day. So I think we're really hitting our target crowd, which is the seniors. So I think the average age is around 64.
I didn't think you used that, Mr. Bass.
I look at it every day.
You just said 82, I thought of you, but.
Clinton County Health Department had an intern named Lauren Persech, which I met with a couple of times. She, as part of her deal with the Clinton County Health Department, made instructional flyers for each piece of equipment, which has a picture of it, tells you how to use it, what it's good for, how it helps your body. So they're on 8 by 11 sheets of paper, and I can post those inside the message board out there. We can highlight one a month if that's what we want to do, that kind of thing. She also made an actual instructional video of the Rouses Point walking path, which is available. We're on YouTube through Clinton County Health Department, and it shows how to use all the pieces of equipment. So she videotaped herself doing that, she gives instruction, tells you why to use it. So everyone can see that, and we need to try to post that on our village website, so people have access to it. They have another new person working in the Clinton County Health Department, Sierra Nussbuckle, I met with her last Thursday afternoon. Showed her the fitness trail. She's gonna be the one coming up and getting the counts off of the counter that's still there. They're still keeping track of how many people walk on the trail every day for us. So I have yet to receive that information. So the fitness trail is serving its purpose. Fitness in the parks, we had last year, we had hip hop dance, archery, and karate programs that were funded through Clinton County, or the Foundation of CBPH. They didn't have the funding for that same type of program, but Steve went ahead and put in the application for the community grant to fund the same programs for this summer. We're waiting to hear if we got the money. So I've already talked to all of the instructors that were there. They all agreed to come back. Prices are a little higher, but we included that in our request for the grant funding, which is around $1,300. And as soon as we get the money, then we can lock them in on the dates. So if the funding doesn't come through, then we won't have it, but we're hopeful. So baseball, softball programs, the registrations for the summer programs are going to begin at the end of this month. We got a little bit of a competition going on. The Northern Tier Little League is going to start. So the northern part of Clinton County is going to form their own Little League, and they have been pretty successful at their sign-ups, so that may impact our program with a little bit of an overlap of the seasons. At this point, we haven't decided whether to exclude the Little League players from our program or to include them. I'm inclined to include them because our population is so small up here that if they want to play both, Little League will be first, and then it'll run into the county program, which is June and July. But we have to meet with all the parties, with the village and the town, and see if they're on board with that.
What are the issues playing both?
Probably more parental issues than anything else. If the kids are playing Little League, chances are they may not be able to come to the practices during May because they'll be doing Little League. County practices start in May, so sometimes parents get kind of cranky when kids aren't at practice and yet they play in the games. So we're working it out so that we can kind of have some kind of deal that if you miss practice and you're still playing baseball or softball, that you just won't start or you won't play quite as many innings. But we've got about 17 kids signed up for Little League baseball and softball. So it could impact us, but right now, looking at the numbers, I've talked to a couple of the coaches and they're okay with letting the kids play both. We'd like to at least try it for one season and see how it works. Peru and Plattsburgh excluded the Little League players starting last year, but they have a bigger population and can afford to do that. They were telling their kids they had to make a choice, one or the other. So,
Thank you.
that's how that's going. I do expect to have the same number of coaches. Regardless, we had T-ball, grasshopper, and pee-wee. I expect to have the need for 8 coaches next season also. The fields are in pretty rough shape. We were able to get some leveling done on them last fall, but that's pretty much mud right now. So hopefully we can get some, have a drier spring, I hope. We need to do a lot of work. Practices can start May 1st. We're currently working on the recreation agreement between the towns and the villages, and I'm meeting tomorrow at the town office to work on the itemized program costs for our budget. So I'm doing that tomorrow. One more thing is the longest day of play. We've been asked to participate in that. That'll be Friday, June 22nd, through Clinton County. We did it last year. We had family Zumba, but it was like torrential downpour, so we didn't have a lot of people show up. It was out under the pavilion. She still ran it anyway. It's no cost to the village. It was free, so it's just a matter of getting people out. So we're looking at some alternatives this year. Maybe try to use the pickleball court. Maybe do a fun run on our fitness trail. We ran one of those in October, the first year that the trail was done. Or doing some outdoor games with parents and kids. So it's in the process. I haven't committed the route yet, but we're looking to see what we can do and how much help we have. So that's the report.
Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
We still have to sign an intermunicipal agreement with the town of Champlain, the village of Champlain, and the village of Rouses Point. That's a requirement that was pointed out by the auditors of the town youth program, so we had to get that done. Our issue, as we discussed before, was that Rouses Point provides all of the fields and maintains all of the fields for all of the sports. And we end up paying an equal amount on top of that cash for expenses. So initially I proposed that we just didn't pay that and the money be split between the town and the village. And there's some concern from the village of Champlain that they don't have a big enough percentage of people playing, they should pay as much. There's a lot of issues, but Steve and Jan are, Steve primarily is leading the charge, trying to narrow the budget down so that we know exactly where all the funds are being spent. And yes, they have some other issues, so hopefully we'll get something signed before the season starts. That's our goal. So if we don't, we'll be operating without one. We're not supposed to. So hopefully that'll get done. Anyway, but thank you for the report, man. Okay. Next thing we have is a resolution. And it's resolution 2018-04. Polling place hours. Polls are open and addresses of those nominated. So, just go through it. Whereas the general election for officers of the village of Rouses Point shall be held on March 20th, 2018, whereas the Board of Trustees is required by Section 15-104, subparagraph 3B of the election law to adopt a resolution designating the polling place of the hours the polls shall be open and addresses of those nominated. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of the village of Rouses Point designates a polling place for each election district to be Halsted Hall, Rouses Point Civic Center, 39 Lake Street, Rouses Point, New York, at the hours during which the polls shall be open shall be 12 o'clock noon until 9 p.m. And that the candidates nominated for office are in accordance with the provision of Article 15, Village Election Law R. Thomas Batha, Rouses Point, has been nominated for the office of mayor for a 2-year term. Benjamin Arnold, Rouses Point, has been nominated for the office of trustee for a 2-year term. John Cooper, Rouses Point, New York, has been nominated for the office of trustee for a 2-year term. Thomas Dart, Rouses Point, has been nominated for the office of trustee for a 2-year term. Be it further resolved that the village clerk is hereby directed to publish this resolution in full in the press Republican and to post a copy of this resolution in at least 6 conspicuous public places within the village on or before March 10th, and that a copy be placed at the polling place. This resolution shall take effect immediately following a roll call vote, which we will have now. So I need a motion to accept this resolution.
So move.
Second.
Okay, any discussion on this? Okay, trustee Batha?
Aye.
Trustee Arnold?
Aye.
Trustee Dart?
Aye.
Trustee Bernard?
Aye.
Motion's carried, thank you. So Madam Clerk, you have the authorization for publication and the rest of it, okay. I know at the last, not the last meeting, the meeting before last, our administrator presented a new village logo, presented a suggestion for a new logo. He sent you an amended one with basically the same thing, but it has the establishment date of the village, 1783, and list New York on there. You all were going to talk to your constituents about what they thought of this logo. Did we have any feedback from the constituents on this from you guys?
Oh, I think it looks great.
I do too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Tom? I think we could do better, but
Well, it's something we're not nailed down to. If we want to change it in 6 months or a year, we can do it. It's not
but you gotta go and print all this stuff. I don't know. I'll be honest with you, the logo that we have now, I didn't know we had it until I specifically went out and looked at a car. I mean, Steve is right, it's ineffective at all. You don't even notice there's a logo on it. You know, like, I walked by that hybrid for years and I never noticed it was even on there. So it's definitely no good, the one that we have. I thought we were still in the one before that.
So, Steve, if if the board were to, approve this, again, as trustee Dart points out, it can be changed at any time, where would this appear?
Yeah, great question. There's a few things, as I've mentioned, I think before. Foundationally, we have to kind of project our new website that's been purchased kind of in a different way. The old logo won't fit on there, can't use it. So we need something to kind of put our best face forward for the moment. We also have a renewed or resurgence in our social media presence, which is a way in which a lot of people are finding out about the things that we're doing. As an example, Jessica's been using it for public skating, and where we used to get $5 and $10, we now get $100. So that's good to be able to put it out there. So this image is on our social media pages and our website. So that's where it would go to start. As we cycle through anything from business cards to letterhead, we would print new stuff. In other words, we won't throw out the old stuff until it's used. But we would print new things with the new logo on it, with a little bit of a fresh look, and then go from there. If we want to, I understand the reticence of not being able to put it on vehicles or spending lots of money with it until we're really sure. So I don't think we have to go out and put it on vehicles unless it's the wishes of the board. That's where the most expense, if not all the expense, would be. But for now, this is one of those, I see it as probably a 1 to 2 year patch of just a nice image to put ourselves forward until we get to a point where we can either budget for and move through an official process, or do something, whatever the will of the board is at that point.
I did notice on the pamphlet that was put out about all the bike trails, all the barn trails, everything else, and each one of the communities was represented. And the one picture they had around this morning was a picture of the gazebo. We didn't hand it in, that's what they came and took it out, so that kind of goes in line with that. You guys are gonna have to live with it, I'm not. I'm gonna be here for 3 more weeks, so,
Well, I think,
up to you guys, what you wanna do.
I think it looks great.
yeah, me too.
I think it reflects the current trend.
Yeah.
So you wanna make a motion to accept the logo as revised with the establishment date and the location? of the
I'll make a
state
motion for that.
Second.
Okay, further discussion? Right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so I guess you can proceed with that, the website and elsewhere. I'm gonna turn the issue about the fishing tournament over to our administrator to present to us. He's been in contact with these people. Let him give us a little overview of what's going on.
Sure. So as part of my role on the Strategic Tourism Planning Committee, we get involved in different tourism initiatives around the county. Certainly want to make sure that Rouses Point's represented as much as possible and as often as possible. So one of the opportunities that came our way was just to host a what they call a small fishing tournament. It's about 50 boats, we think. By comparison, sometimes Plattsburgh has 200. So that kind of shows the difference. What they would do, it's on August 19th, they would have load in basically all the boats in the water starting at around 5 a.m. They take off around 6. There's a bit of noise with that, you're going to hear the boat motors, but for the most part what they've assured me is that they're fairly quiet. They fish all day, and then when they come back between 2 and 3 o'clock, they weigh in. Sometimes there can be a bit of a show. It's good for spectators to be able to watch and see all that. They have their, basically their competition, they award their prizes, and then they move on from there. So it's a one-day tournament. Many anglers would be staying, of course, in the Plattsburgh area. That's where most of the lodging is. Things that generally are residuals from an event like this is anyone buying fuel, buying coffee, gas, food, those kinds of things. They're pretty hungry when they come off the water. They're not going to go far. So that's the type of impact we're looking at for the village. Things to be concerned about that I think are important. I've been involved in dozens and dozens of these over the years. Things that you may hear, issues from the public on would be noise from the boat. Sometimes it is a complaint. The occupation, although they say it's not exclusive, anyone can launch at the boat launch, but the occupation of the boat launch and the parking of all the boats, we know we can figure it out where we can park everybody. But there is going to be a bit of congestion on that day. And then sometimes, depending on the weather, you can get like a fish die-off of some kind. Survival rates between 90 and 95% in these tournaments. Generally, you're not going to find more concerned people of the environment than anglers are. They want these fish to live. They want them to be here for the next time they come back and for the next anglers. So they really put a huge focus on, de-stressing the fish and not overdoing it. But it can be an issue depending on the weather. If it's really choppy and they get a rough ride, or it's really hot, something like that. Sometimes that happens. So I want to make sure you know kind of what some of the negatives are. But in general, the positives are very, very, very positive in that you can get a lot of value. If we show we do this one well, we can get more, I think, over time. Kind of being a northern destination, and maybe some Canadian anglers we could attract this way as well. So I think there's opportunities for continuing that economic impact with something like this.
Is this any different than the fishing derby that we've had here in Rouses Point for the last 30 years, every year?
I haven't seen that one. I don't know it.
Lake Champlain fishing.
This is a lot.
Yeah, the LCI.
This is
LCI.
bass boats come in.
Yeah, we have those every year.
LCI.
Yeah, LCI.
So
It's not-
generally, if I'm not mistaken, LCI is lake-wide, meaning you can go to any launch on the lake and weigh in, and that's the competition. So it's generally thought of as more of a local fisherman's event, which was what makes it really cool. This event is drawing people from other places, not exclusively, but that's just the way the way it works. So it's
When is this,
would be August 19th.
this 19?
Now, where would they set up the weigh station? They're not gonna set that out in the middle of the boat launch, are they?
Usually in sportsman's.
That's what I'm saying, I mean,
That's what they've always done
they
it.
could,
Yeah, I
they could contract with the sportsmen for $100 and have a whole pier for parking, cooking, weighing, whatever they wanted to do. That way
Yeah.
we, be giving a local club some business, and it would eliminate that problem of parking and congestion.
It could possibly. They are, as I mentioned, that's certainly an option for us to kind of work through. We know there's enough solutions out there, in my opinion, that we don't have to be worried about the logistics. Like, we'll figure that part out, but just, at this point, it's, they were seeking approval rather quickly so that we could get on the calendar so they could start to advertise. Their anglers are setting up their seasons as we speak.
So gentlemen, what do you think? Do you want to let them try this first fishing tournament? We're gonna have like 50 professional fishermen here with bass boats, and work the rest of that out.
Make a motion
You make a motion to
to allow the fishing tournament to go on.
August 19th, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, Mr. Peters, you let them know.
Will do.
Okay, we received one bid for the American LaFrance fire truck. Remember, our minimum bid was $3,000. We received one bid from Arnold Scrap Metal for $4,506.80. So,
I think that's pretty good.
entertain a motion to accept that bid for the 75 American LaFrance truck.
I make a motion, we accept that bid.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the truck is sold. Trustee Arnold, do you have anything?
I just wanted to ask Mr. Gelano how our water plant auto dialer is in our skid unit.
The auto dialer has been ordered. Lead time on that is 4 to 6 weeks. I just got word from AES today that they have ironed out the problem they were having, that they've gotten verification on the part that they were asking the manufacturers about. And I have prompted Emmerich to confirm that they have gone ahead and processed the order. I have not heard back from them as of yet.
Okay. Thank you.
But I have every reason to believe that that order will go forward this week.
Okay, so you're gonna stay up on that?
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
Also, is there I don't know if it's legal or not, or whatever, but can we put our board meetings, up on the board out here to,
Yeah, you
is
can,
that legal?
sure, of course.
Yeah?
Yeah, advertise anywhere you want.
Yeah, I'd like to
It's on the
see that
website.
done, yeah. To have it put up on the board.
Steve, did you see that Jess does that?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right. Trustee Dart.
I am all set for tonight, thank you.
Trustee Canali.
I only have one thing. I'd just like to thank Jessica and the rec center crew for, we had a sectional game this weekend, pretty good hockey game, and went off without too many hitches. Everything worked out pretty well. It was a good crowd. I'd just like to thank her for all the work.
We did have a couple sheriffs here too, so that was helpful. Good planning, so yeah.
No, in the sense of,
Yeah, we didn't win, but
All right,
it was still good.
Trustee Dot.
I have nothing tonight.
Okay. Madam Clerk, do you have anything for us?
Nothing this evening.
Mr. Administrator, do you have additional reports?
Yeah, just filling in for Jessica today. She's unable to make the meeting. She's been working with our staff, obviously, on a little bit more detailed cleanings around the building, maybe some of the things that aren't as readily available or visible to the public. They did respond, I think, very well, as you mentioned, to the hockey game, as that was kind of a quick turnaround. Kind of getting the venue figured out as far as that goes, which is really important, so I'm glad that she's able to handle that just as well as we thought she might. Other than that, I think everything else a lot of other things I've been working on have been covered in the meeting already.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Treasurer,
Just want to report that the auditors were in the office Thursday and Friday, and everything went well. We did talk about the cost of service study. Mayor also spoke to them, and we'll hear back on it shortly.
will they come in for an exit interview? Like they did last time, will they come in for an exit? Or no?
I think only if you guys require.
Okay. All right, good, thanks. Mr. Pelkey, what do you got for us?
On Wednesday, we had a power outage in the north feeder. We had a failure of a switch. It's over on the corner of Chapman and Delaware. Working with the engineer and with S&W, the maker of the switch. Unfortunately, the switch is not under warranty anymore, but because we purchased 6 of them in the past, they're willing to take this one back to the factory and possibly fix it for us for free. So we're going to have another slight outage. I got to find a way to configure, put all the wires together without the switch in place, because we don't have another one as a spare. And they're about $35,000. So we're going to be, I'll be scheduling another outage for that north feeder, and we'll be taking that out of line once I draw up a procedure how we're going to.
So we'll go, no ahead this time, just let us
Yes,
put it in
we'll
paper.
go ahead, we'll put it, whatever, door to door, put it in paper, we'll figure something out.
Okay.
On the heat pump situations that we talked about last week, I did contact a local person. I talked to him on Friday. He's gonna come, I'm gonna give him the model numbers. He's gonna give us an estimate on going through repairing them, looking at cleaning them, servicing for us. So we'll get them to run at their efficiency.
Yeah.
And it's a local guy, that's what's nice about it. You don't have to travel, have somebody travel from Watertown or Plattsburgh.
excellent.
Thank you. Mr. Gentleman, do you have anything else for us?
I do not, thank you.
Mr. Gray, you got anything for us? Okay. We'll open it up to the public. Mr. Cooper, Mr. Turner, you have anything you want to say?
Not at this moment.
Okay. All right, we have no executive session, so I entertain a motion to adjourn.
I so move.
Second.
Discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned.
Oh, I know. I can't do that. I can't. I gotta crack it.
Gotta hear it, amen.
Gotta hear it. Make everybody jump.